right, and welcome back to another episode of Bleducation
Yeah.
featuring myself, Brando from the Bando.
I gotta tell you about that.
Okay,
And
I
Mia.
like it.
And you know,
Mia.
Bleducation.
Oh.
This is Bleducation where we teach you about people you should already know about or teach you more about people you do already know about.
All right. So today we are going to talk about Anastasia and her people.
Who is Anastasia and her people?
I know y'all seen that. Well, it wasn't Disney, but it was like, I used to think it was Disney, but it's like in that Disney-esque. Is it Dreamscape? It might be something
Is
like
DreamWorks
that.
not Disney?
I don't know. I feel like all them companies are owned by each other.
I was gonna say, maybe it's like
Nickelodeon. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So, but you know what? Anyways, and Anastasia, at the beginning, like she was separated from her family, and there was like the little bat that talked, and the sorcerer, who's Rasputin. So, they tell like this little.
Never seen the movie.
Okay, cool.
But I was gonna let you go though.
Okay, yeah.
For the people.
But in real life, like actually, it was like none of that happened. None of what happens.
There's not a talking bat. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, there's no talking bat. Rasputin is actually not the villain here. And as he is in the cartoon, like they really just took this important piece of history and decided to make a cartoon movie about, which I guess it's for like cater to kids,
yeah.
but
and that's what most of those little
but it's like they literally were like, we're just gonna take you and make our own plot about what happened. So, let's actually get into what did happen.
Yeah, tell me about it because I want to learn things.
Okay, cool. All right. So so we're going back about 103 years ago. So about a century ago. All right. So obviously we were in the middle of a world war during this time. So of course we have Russia at the time. Russia is a monarchy. What is a monarchy? Do you know?
A monarchy is going to be set up basically to have a king and a queen, right?
Okay.
No type of democracy, no single person running anything.
Yes.
King, queen. Lineage.
Yes. Okay, so during this time, the family web over in Europe is like pretty inbred. Thanks to Victoria. Victoria,
it's just so gross.
I mean, it was
because they were really wilding.
Yeah, they were.
Was really
so
wilding.
Victoria,
sorry,
it's called the Victorian era for a reason because she literally was just like having all these kids who was having like kids and marrying all the people. So like everybody pretty much, if you're a royalty in Europe, you were related in some kind of way.
Like they was like first cousins type of related. Right.
So you have a guy named Nicholas Romanov who is going to be the last czar. That's CZAR of Russia. So basically, it's a fancy word for king. All right, and he kind of sucks. All right, as a king, yeah. During this time, so Russia took a lot of heavy losses in World War I, as we know.
Yeah.
And then also mix in like just Russia's winter in general is going to like really like destroy a lot of morale, just a lot of things during this time. So the people are already like pretty much fed up, with Nicholas at this point, and he does something dumb. He decides that because Russia is losing all of these battles in the war, that he is going to take over directly and take over the army directly. Bad move, guy. Bad move because things did not get better. But now the Russian people have someone directly to blame.
Right. And they love doing that. Like one day we will for real talk about the ending of World War I leading us into World War II and talk about how they was over there wilding. But my question is, did he have like a military background or bro was just like, I got this, move out the way?
So I think all aristocracy at that point, they had some kind of training in the army,
yeah.
But it wasn't like he was not the guy for the job. Like he was definitely
bro said, move, I got this.
Like he was not the guy for the job. And there's a couple of other things that happened too. So you have a lot of people in Russia are starving at this point in time.
Wars are expensive, man.
Also, it's about who he married, who he fell in love with. So he falls in love with this German woman named Alexandria. And
interracial love.
And first of all, the people of Russia is like, She's from Germany. We're actually in a war with Germany right now. So she's probably a traitor. She's probably a spy, actually. So we really already don't mess with her. And you married her. So that's strike one.
Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, I get it. I guess, so that's
a big war.
Yeah. So strike one. Strike two is Mama is producing all these children, and they're all girls. Okay, so she has four daughters. She has Tatiana.
Okay, I'm sorry to pause you, but I really
Yeah.
just thought about the fact. Okay, so she's German, they're Russia. It's World War I, so we're looking at Germany betraying them, and then they were allied with them, and then betraying them. Yeah, I get that, because when you first were talking about it, I was like, "Dang, that's real messed up." But now that I'm thinking about it in the context of
Yeah.
like the war, of course they're pissed. That
Yeah.
makes so much more sense, because it's like, "Dang, they mad,"
Yeah,
It's
and
white on crime,
historians
but you know,
they really talk about Alexandria as being like this really like layered and multifaceted person. Whereas like when she was around her family, she was just very warm and like you could tell she really cared about her kids and
yeah,
about her husband. She was really in love with this man. But like to the public, she just did not have a lot of favor with the Russian
right.
public. Like when they saw her, she just did not seem warm. She did not seem like
Well,
enticing
I
or
wouldn't be
anything
warm to
like
them
that.
either. I bet they was mean.
You know, but I mean, it's one of her and millions of them. So
Right.
like you gotta,
So
you gotta kind of do something. But she wasn't the people's favorite, and so it didn't help because they were looking for the next male heir to
right.
come, and so she has four daughters. She has
Damn.
Maria, Olga,
That's a
Tatiana,
terrible name.
Anastasia.
If her name is Olga.
So these are all the Grand Duchess daughters. And so the people was looking like, okay, girl, like, are you gonna have like a boy? Because you know back then things were very archaic, of course, and like they blamed the woman.
Heir.
But of course they blamed the woman for not being able to produce the male heir,
Right. Which is
very sexist.
what? Like that
And,
don't even make
yeah,
no sense.
you know, I mean, it gives me like, what was it, Henry the Eighth Vibes?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
didn't he have his like wife murdered or something?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
One of the
Back on
memories.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah. So like she finally has a son, but because of all the way genetics work, you know, like she married a cousin, and there was a
That'll
lot
do
of
it.
hemophilia.
I was gonna say, yeah,
you
that'll.
know,
I mean,
so basically he had it really bad. And so he was not expected to survive childhood, which I guess technically he technically he didn't survive childhood,
you're
but it wasn't
not
because of
gonna send me to
hemophilia. I
hell with
mean,
you.
he didn't survive childhood, but obviously the context in which I'm speaking about is he was not expected to survive because of hemophilia, and quite a
Right.
few times he actually almost did die because like he would get bruises and stuff like that, and like he
It
would
wasn't
just
his fault.
yeah. So the people were like, "Yay, son! There's finally a male heir." Then they're like, "Oh, okay, he's gonna die." So once again, this is your fault.
Dang, she gotta take the blame for everything. They need to relax a
Yeah,
little bit.
so I mean, just the royal couple were just they were not it was not a Princess Diana situation, you know, it was where everybody loved her. Like
Who was Princess Diana?
you know,
so pretty.
you know, she was. Speaking of British royalty, actually, so basically, yeah, King George the Fifth, and Tsar Nikolai. They actually, what's really scary is they look identical. They're cousins, but they literally look identical.
Well,
Okay,
they probably
like
should. Do they have the same daddy?
I mean, well, not the same dad, but you know, they come. They're. I want to say their grandmother was Queen Victoria or something. They were first cousins. So, but they literally like look alike. Like which
They all
is
look really weird to me.
But they
They
like if
all
you
look
see
really
a
weird.
side by side picture of them, you're gonna be like, they look alike. Just you know, Nicholas. He had
Well,
kind
now
of
I
like
have
a
to look it
funky,
up.
yeah. He had like a funky beard, you know, situation because
Oh, I
Russia,
can't reach the keyboard.
Russia.
But I'm gonna look it up.
But yeah.
Oh, I have
anyway,
a phone. Just kidding. Keep going.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
So, anyways, back to the story, okay, because this is about Anastasia and them. All right. So, basically, yeah, this war is happening. Things are not looking good. Then, of course, Nicholas makes this decision that he's going to go and run the army.
Oh,
So,
wow.
don't they look alike? I told you.
It's
Like,
just their little mustaches are a little different.
I told you that like they could be twins. Isn't that crazy?
Y'all should look that up.
Yeah. Okay.
I did.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, Russia at this point is pissed, and like they are not fooling with him. Okay, so they decide like, so then you have to start the seeds of a revolution happening, and you're going to see this transition of Russia. It's going to be the Bolshevik uprising or revolution, whichever you want to call it, between the Reds and the Whites. And in this, you're going to have people who are still in support of the monarchy. And then you're going to have people who are leaning more towards like a different kind of government. So we see the beginnings of the communists and the birth of the Soviet.
I would say, because they're not even like, most people you see uprising for stuff like that for transition into democracy, but not even for them, because I mean they're going into communism, which is odd to me a little bit. It's just a little odd to me, because when you think about like, and not to say every nation that is communistic is like ran by a dictator, but that's often what you see. And what following that, you see this dictator appointing somebody else, or there's somebody within their lineage. So it's like, what was y'all really fighting for? Because
I don't ask questions.
But
I wasn't there.
Right? What do we know?
So, anyways, long story short, this revolution starts to happen, and Nicholas is pretty much put in this situation where he is forced to abdicate the throne. Like they're like, basically, you're fired.
You can't fire me, I'm the king.
And so
I would have made a scene.
You actually have the first thing that this is like one of the first times that I think Nicholas is starting to worry about him and his family. So there is an attempt of people that are loyal to him to get him evacuated to Britain for for safety, I guess. So he writes to his cousin George. He's like,
cousin George.
He's like, hey bro, can I come? And George is like, yeah, pull up. And then actually George actually is kind of scared of like what the British public is going to say and how that's going to look, especially because of all the things that have been happening in the war. So he kind of goes back and he's like, just kidding. You can't come.
Like,
so basically there are some preparations that start happening, and the family gets put in exile. Okay.
Makes sense. That tracks.
So they get put in exile. They're actually split up for a little bit, and then eventually they are all going to come together in this place called the House of Special Purpose, which is going to be where they die. But we'll get to that in a second. They did. Anastasia,
like that.
I mean, they did die.
Another one bites the dust.
Yeah. So they actually get put like it's really bad. It's really bad, and you almost kind of like feel bad for the royal family, except for on the other end, you have to realize that they are indirectly responsible for a lot of deaths,
and they're also
like,
rich.
And it's like the rich, but I mean, well, the kids.
It's not the kids' fault for sure. But
and the dog too. We'll get to the dog. They got the dog. We'll talk to it.
They in hell for sure.
Yeah. So
for sure.
Yeah. So basically, the family is going to be confined into this home. But it's a prison. Okay, like there is a 13-foot fence, so they can't see anything.
But they got a kitchen.
They do have a
tub.
kitchen. Yeah.
They all right.
Okay. Yeah. They also have guards that are stationed everywhere, watching their every move.
You should have started with that one.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You said a house. I was like, they cool in there. I was like, man, they just can't get out, but they got everything.
No, they have a guard, and on top of the house, they have like a crow's nest, like with the.
Oh, they in prison.
They things they kind of learned how to live in exile. They're there, I want to say, for about a year or two, something like that, extended period of time, and it gets to the point where like things almost have a sense of normalcy. I guess like they kind of get into a routine. They get used to
living there.
Yeah. So a lot of times they're following like they're deeply religious, especially Mama Alex. So they are still going to church within their confines. They don't really have a lot of contact with the outside world, except for like a couple of nuns that will come. every couple of weeks to like bring them like bread and like kind of sneak them news as well. Then you have one of the daughters who also kind of falls in love with one of the guards.
Lord
Think about like
Jesus.
Stockholm syndrome
It's
or
gotta
whatever.
be.
And she actually a few days before they died, I want to say it was Maria. Um, so her and her mom were not talking, like because she got caught in this compromising position, and
Listen,
at the end of the day, like
I'm
they're
not trying to judge a
prisoners.
victim,
They're
but
yeah.
maybe that was not your best idea.
I
That's all I'm
mean,
saying.
so her and her mom really weren't even on speaking terms during that time.
That's
Like when
wild.
yeah, it sucks. Um, so, anyways, on to the execution. Okay, so at some point in time, Russia is still engaging in their own civil war at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have some people who are there's this hope that there are some people that are just going to come through and
Mm-hmm.
save the royal family, okay, at some point in time. But maybe about a month or so before the execution, there is a regime change as far as like who's in charge of the
Mm-hmm.
royal family. And so this group of people is a lot more strict. So you can see the quality of life is starting to rapidly deteriorate
Yeah.
right at this time. So it's like, now this is really a prison. They are also being like everyone's being instructed to call them like by their first names, which is something that's wildly disrespectful during this time
Right.
because they were royalty and like
Yeah.
so it's just like you go from like I don't know, that would be like I guess like
My kids calling me Tamia.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah. But
So
times 10, I'd imagine. But still.
right. So basically, so the night of the execution, okay, so you hear like gunshots off in the distance, right? And you know that it is the Reds and the Whites they're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like in the next town over.
Okay.
So there is a decree that comes down that basically says, hey, we want to go ahead and kill them or whatever. Like that's just the safest thing. Initially, it was only supposed to be Nicholas, but they were like, actually, we're just going to get the whole family. Also, while the family was in exile, they have like a couple of servants. They have Alexei, his doctor, is
Mm-hmm.
there as well. They have the
Oh,
dog. The dog's name is Jimmy.
why would you tell me that?
I know,
I
poor
already know that he
Jimmy.
dies.
Yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely. So basically, what they do is they wake them up in the middle of the night and they march them down to um, a basement. And what's really crazy is that it's almost like a little bit of foreshadowing. But Nicholas says like to his wife, he was like, "We're gonna finally get out of this place one way or the other." And I think in his head, he's thinking like we're about to be rescued or
Right.
something is about to go down. Well, something did go down. So then the executioners, in order to like line them up, they say, "Hey, we need you guys to like line up and pose, like because you." There's a picture that we need to take of you for proof of life, that kind of thing. And so that's how they get them to all spread out and
Mm-hmm.
line up in this basement. And then you hear Mama Alex. That's what I'm gonna call her, Mama Alex. I like that name. She goes, you don't got to share for me to sit in. Like she was like, she's
Me.
bougie to the end, like bougie to the end,
Like,
right?
since you want me to stand
And so
up,
yeah, and so the executioners like literally go find her a chair, and like it's been recorded. Like the chief executioner, he wrote in his diary, like he said something like the bitch wants to die in a chair, she wants to die sitting down. So like
she
let's
didn't know
make
she was
that
gonna
yeah.
die.
So this so the family does not
They're
know
terrible.
that this is going to happen. So executioners come back in. The chief executioner, he reads this piece of paper and he's like, blah blah blah. Yeah, we have
That
decided like we're gonna kill you. Like, and so Nicholas like interrupts him and is like, "What? Excuse me? Like what?
it's like, wait, did you say murder?
Yeah." And so the executioner is like, I'll wait. Yeah, that's me in the classroom.
Oh,
I'll
listen.
wait.
Pause.
Pause. I'll wait. I'll
Pause.
wait. I imagine him doing like this, tucking his hair,
This
and
shit
he
with no
starts
hair.
reading. He starts reading the decree again. All right, and he's like, "So we basically have decided to kill you, all of you, immediately, effective immediately." So this goes really fast. Okay, so Nicholas turns to his wife, and he's like trying to talk to her, and he gets three in the chest. Boom, boom, boom. All right, he's gone. Um, Mama Alex, she is religious, so she is doing her Hail Marys. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Hail Mary.
Yeah, she's doing this, and boom, like
Dang, headshot.
She doesn't finish. She's gone. All right. Um, but surprisingly, they are the only two to immediately die. And the daughters are all still alive. The servants, the daughters are all pretty much still alive, and it's because of jewelry. Would you like to know more?
Yes. Because what do you mean by that?
So, of course, they're rich. They're rich as hell. So they had jewelry, right? They've been moved around and exile, all this other stuff, right? So they're trying to hide their valuables. So the whole time they have been sewing jewelry like diamonds, pearls, all of their stuff. They've been sewing it into their clothes so that when they get searched, like people searching the room, they're not searching like your clothes,
right? And taking
so they've been stitching like all their jewelry in there. So essentially, well, I wouldn't say smart because it prolonged their death and made it worse for them because essentially,
who thought that was gonna happen though?
So they're getting shot, yeah, but they're not dying because essentially they're bulletproof.
That's kind of play though.
Yeah, so I mean, yes, yeah, so they're kind of bulletproof, and so the first rounds of shots go off, it's a whole bunch of smoke. So the executioners all leave, and they're like, "We're gonna take like a 15-minute break. Go get coffee, smoke a cigarette, stuff like that." While everyone else is just in there like screaming, tore up, like all of this. So then they come back in there, and they start to get scared because they're like, "Why are these girls not dying?"
Right.
And then they finally, they're like, "Are they demons? Like, what's happening?" So then they have bayonets, so they finally actually start stabbing them, and that takes care of that. So
no shit.
Yeah, so the whole family, all the servants that were there with them, the doctor, I want to say the cook too. Yeah.
Like, man, I ain't do shit.
Yeah, so they all get killed, and then you have like this for the next like 10, 15 years, you have this big cover up from the Soviet Union where at first they're saying only Nicholas has been killed, then they're saying like the family is in exile, basically like in a witness protection program, and then they're saying
they some hoes.
Then they're finally saying the family got killed by some rebels, and then
they some hoes.
So you have all these people that come around and like especially with Anastasia, like pretending to be Anastasia, saying, "Oh, I'm still alive," but in reality, DNA tests their remains were found in like the 80s, and then tested in the 90s. It was tested in the 90s, and like they all died. Yeah, so this is not a happy ending, unfortunately. No, so, but I think it's really cool to kind of dig into like what really happened with Anastasia. When you think about, I remember watching the kid movie. The movie as a kid, and like thinking, "Oh, this is an interesting story," and then like actually reading about what happened and saying, "What the hell?" Like, yeah. So there's a really good book called "The Kitchen Boy" that kind of talks about there was like a little boy that befriended the family, and he used to help them out and stuff. But he was removed like right before the execution happened.
Very much boy in the striped pajamas.
Yeah. So
I don't like it.
But yeah, that's the story of Anastasia and her people. Questions for me?
No, and we're about to wrap up. But you know what I really thought you were about to tell the story of is The Sound of Music. When you first like brought this to me, I was like, "Oh, this is about to be The Sound of Music," because like the context he gave me surrounding it, I was like, "Oh, it's The Sound of Music," and I was like, "I'm gonna know it." And then when you started talking about the movie, I was like, "This is not."
Yeah, that's actually not what we're talking about at all.
But now I want to do an episode about The Sound of Music, so that's going to have to happen.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so that's going to wrap up today's unfortunately tragic episode of Anastasia and them of Bleducation. All right, I am Brando.
I'm Mia.
And we will catch you next time.
Peace.
All right. What up? It's your boy, Brando from the Bando. Actually, I'm from the suburbs, not the Bando, but that's okay. I'm here to say thanks for watching the Polaris Network on YouTube. For exclusive shows and premium content, subscribe to the Polaris Network on YouTube right now. Seriously, what are you doing? Go subscribe. Go do it right now.